this game, Tim, you'll be going along Tuesday night.
Yes.
All right. How much trouble would defeat leave England in?
Yeah, from England's point of view, it's it'll be the last decent sort of competitive test against a good team that they have before the Euros, really.
Yeah.
Southgate talking the other day, we've only got 5-6 games left before the tournament starts.
What are the big questions he needs to sort out?
Well, I think he's got issues in each position on the pitch, really. In my mind, I mean, he might not see it that way because he's got people that he's earmarking will play come what may, I think, like Calvin Phillips, who someone worked out the other day is now the 8th choice midfielder at Man City. But he didn't kick a ball the other night against Australia, which was Southgate's Carabao Cup team, effectively. So it looks like he was being set up to start against Italy. And if he does, if I was Calvin Phillips and there's loads of talk, he needs to get out in January and get some game time so he nails his spot in the Euros, I'd be going absolutely nowhere. Because if he ends up going to West Ham on loan in January and plays his way out of form, then that's the only way he'll lose his place. But if he's 8th choice midfielder at Man City and still gets in England's first choice team, which, he probably will do, there's a real dearth of midfielders, hence why Jordan Henderson is captain the other night and still in this squad, despite playing in Saudi Arabia. But Southgate doesn't fancy James Ward-Prowse by the look of it. He's dropped Mason Mount. So in his mind, there's a real dearth of midfielders. I thought Trent Alexander-Arnold was really impressive against Australia and has been against pretty inferior opposition, Malta and North Macedonia in June. He's a really interesting option for midfield, but it's one of those interesting creative options don't get that extra spot in England's midfield. So hence why Phillips is probably still the man at the moment.
Good Lord. Are you looking forward to going along to Wembley?
I am looking forward to going along to Wembley. It should be the other night was a little bit underwhelming. My first game covering England at Wembley. I was very excited.
It was the first time you'd been there since 1990?
First time I've watched England at Wembley since 1992.
Wow. And what did you see in 1992?
England 2, Holland 2.
Okay.
Which was a World Cup qualifier in Graham Taylor's ill-fated campaign. And John Barnes was booed but scored a free kick.
Was he playing in Saudi Arabia?
He's playing for Liverpool, I think. And Dennis Bergkamp scored a lovely goal.
Why was Barnes booed?
I think he was one of those where it was sort of seen as underachieving, maybe.
Right.
Maybe along the same lines that like why Frank Lampard got booed. And I wrote about this the other night, actually, in terms of how curious it is that some England players get booed and some don't. Because, of course, Henderson was booed when he was subbed the other night, which felt like quite a thing. And there were all sorts of peculiar reasons. Ashley Cole got booed for infidelity reasons, which is just bizarre when you think about it. Wayne Rooney got booed, and I can't really remember why. It was one of his last appearances against Malta. He was in midfield. He's already England's record goal scorer at this point and record outfield cap holder, and he got booed. It's a weird phenomenon getting booed for England. Everybody will be booed. I said it in a piece the other day. Jude Bellingham will be booed one day.
Do you think?
Well, everyone else is. I think Terry had it, Lampard, maybe Gerrard. I'm sure Beckham would have had some after 98.
Yeah.
Barnes, Rooney, they all get it at one point or another.
I thought the booing of Henderson was quite refreshing in that it was like morally unproblematic booing. Obviously, you shouldn't boo your own players. That goes without saying. It's counterproductive, etc. But given some of the more...
Is it counterproductive?
Well,
in the long term, might it not have an impact? It's not going to help their performance on the field unless they're one of those players who use that. But
it depends very much on the individual, I think.
Right.
But just generally speaking, fans booing their own players is not felt to be very helpful.
Right.
But I think given the recent context of England booing, like Harry Maguire getting booed for being, not in form, is like a pretty appalling reason for booing one of your own players. But I felt like the booing of Jordan Henderson was a reflection of, kind of what the nation thinks of his choice to go to Saudi Arabia. I think people, I'm not, you can't know for sure what was in the heads of the booers.
Right.
But it felt like they were expressing disappointment with Jordan Henderson on a personal level, which I think is a disappointment that we all felt when he decided to go to Saudi Arabia.
Reinforced by the disingenuousness of his remarks afterwards when he said, I don't know why they're booing me. Why could that possibly be? He was the one who gave the interview to The Athletic and presumably witnessed the massive fallout. We talked about it on this show. For him to say, if they're... he made some allusion to, just they're angry at someone playing in a different country. It's the specifics of it are very relevant there.
But Southgate was of the mind that it wasn't, 10,000 people standing up for LGBTQ plus rights. He was of the mind that, people have just got it in for Jordan Henderson, and this is a stick that they beat him with, which I'm inclined to sort of agree with, really. I don't know. The Henderson-Maguire thing's been going on for a few years now. They always get picked. So I feel like this has sort of made him sort of cross over into the boo boy territory. But I don't think it's people...
Was it just a small minority at Wembley? Was it not a true reflection of...
At first, it was one man who was booing his every touch. One man, he was really loud, but it was one man. I don't know if you can hear it on TV. But yeah, when his number went up, you knew it was coming. It was, I don't know, a couple of thousand. But
magnificent. One individual at Wembley.
He really hated it.
Hello there. If you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe to this channel?
The Totally Football Show podcast is available 3 times a week, bringing you all the football news you could reasonably be expected to care about. We've got views, we've got stats, we've got analysis, we've got some of the best football writers around, and the whole thing is absolutely free. So have a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or all the usual places by clicking on the link below.